there's no plan B. So fully committed means you're willing to double down on everything, on marketing, on personnel. And if it doesn't happen, you have nothing. And I know it sounds like a really irresponsible way to run your company, but if you want to scale rapidly and compete with the big folks out there, there's only two ways to do it. You got to get it funded, which we've done in our other companies, or if you're bootstrapped like we were, you got to be ready to put your own money in and everything you got. And if you believe in it, you will do it. And if you don't believe in it, you shouldn't be doing it anyways. You shouldn't be in that business anyways. To me, it's a little black and white. It's a black and white issue. Is you're fully committed and you believe in this mission that you're on, then you should be prepared to put it all in. And if you don't believe in it, you should be doing something else anyways.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, I got a couple individuals that are doing big things in the health and wellness space. They are the co-founders of Cymbiotika. I got Shahab and Durana Elmi. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rich. Pleasure.
Pleasure to be on.
Appreciate you guys coming on. And to jump into it, we were just talking about 10X Health. I got to be honest, my girlfriend and I just started working with 10X Health. We took the gene break test, which was pretty cool. And it told us the breaks in your genes. And it tells you if you got it from one parent or if you got it from two parents. And then it will tell you what supplements you should be taking in order to address those breaks in your genes. And so I got to say, we've been doing it for about 3 months now, and I've never felt better. And it's been life-changing. Is 10X Health, is that a main competitor to you guys with Cymbiotika?
No, I think they're complementary more than being competitive. One Gary's a dear friend. Full disclosure, Gary's a dear friend of ours.
I think Gary Brecka.
I think the world of him. I think he's an absolute genius. And we met Grant a few times. You know, he doesn't get bigger than Grant in the entrepreneurial space. So it makes sense that they joined forces to try to scale that test. That test was Gary's test originally. I think knowing what your body's systemically set up for gives you the best chance of being healthy, successfully healthy. And so our supplements, we have 39 different SKUs. Not everyone needs those 39 SKUs. So like it sounds counterintuitive for
What do you mean when you say SKU?
Different products.
Okay.
Different products.
Okay.
And so for us, it's counterintuitive for me to say, don't buy our 39 products. You don't need every single one of those products. So these type of tests, there's many variations like those tests, tell you what your body uniquely needs. And there's so many variables, your genetic makeup, your ethnic background, your sex, your age, what you're predisposed to. All those things will help you understand what you need. And so I think they complement our company because then you know what you need and you can come buy it from us.
Yeah. I never even knew a gene break test that, even existed until not too long ago. What exactly is a gene break test?
So it basically breaks down what your body composition needs, your DNA structure needs. Every one of us, like I'm Iranian, so my genetic makeup requires me to have certain things, and I'm more predisposed to certain things like heart disease or, as my wife will tell you, lower back issues. And so every one of us has some baggage that comes along with who we are as a human being. And so these tests, I help identify what you really need. Layman terms.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. Like for my girlfriend, for example, a couple of the traits that they were calling out in the break test, she was like, man, like I have these symptoms, like lack of energy in the morning. And so they said like you should be eating these things, these types of foods.
And avoiding certain things, right?
And avoiding certain foods.
Correct.
And for her, she was like, these are the foods that I'm eating that I should be avoiding. And so just a couple tweaks in the diet, and then taking some of the multivitamins and all that really, really helps energy levels for her and myself included.
So a good case study, if your audience wants to look, go look at Dana White, the UFC president, owner of UFC.
Love Dana White.
Look at Dana White before and after. He took the same test. Look at his before and after pictures, and you can see aesthetically he looks so different.
Yeah.
And so he just found out what his body needed and gave him that stuff. So I'm a big car guy. So certain cars need certain fuel. And if you put a wrong kind of fuel in those cars, they won't run properly. So it's just telling your body what fuel it needs and what it should avoid. And that's all it is.
Yeah. You mentioned you're friends with Gary Brecka. When him and Grant linked up, the gene break test was already a thing you mentioned. But it sounds like Grant, linking him up with them, got him more visibility, more eyeballs, more marketing. I know they were going through some stuff. There was a bunch of like hate going back and forth on podcasts and social media live. But it seems like they've made amends. Is that right?
So I don't know the behind the scenes stuff, so I don't want to speculate. I will tell you, it's really difficult when you take someone like Gary, his whole life commitment is to health. And not saying that Grant isn't, but Grant, he's brilliant at 10xing everything. That's everything he touches turns into gold. And scaling that philosophy is difficult. Like in our company, we do that too. We built very unique health products. And we've been very intentional about how we scaled this company because to take it from when we started January 1st, 2019 with our first sale to now a $200 million a year business, you have to be really, really careful, because that scale, you wind up making compromises that you don't want to make. And so I'm not sure what happened between the two of them. It seems like they're back on good terms. I'm glad. It's very difficult to mix a world of 10xing something and then the world that Gary lives in of, small incremental movements in the health space.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys feel that you need to be an expert in the health and wellness space to be a successful entrepreneur in the health and wellness space?
You want to take this one or you want to take it?
I'll kick it off.
Yeah.
So I
Oh, you're
don't.
here.
I'm here. He's so funny. I think you need
By the
to.
way, you are dressed to impress, looking swaggy. I complimented you guys when
Oh,
you came
thank
in.
you.
But Durana, love the black on black,
Oh,
and
thank you so
always
much.
looking swaggy.
Oh, you're so sweet. Coming from Mr. Swag himself. So I don't think you need to necessarily be an expert specifically in health. I think you need to be an expert in business and understand what's the niche or what's the gap that you're trying to bridge. And for us, we were trying to bridge the gap in the modern diet that lacks today. And so both Shahab and I, we do something so different every single day. And we know what our expertise are. They don't cross over. They're very complementary of one another. But I think that it's also your passion is really important. So really understanding what's your passion and what's your purpose. And then, I think you start to become an expert when you focus on something every day. And so I'll hand it over on your thoughts.
I think it's virtually impossible, not impossible, virtually impossible to be a genuine health expert and a business person at the same time.
Why is that?
These worlds collide.
Okay.
So if you think about health products, healthy foods, they're not inexpensive. So if we want to make our company again, and our concern was around health, and it was around just pure profits, we'd make synthetic products that, you can get a 30-day supply of vitamin C, packaged, bottled, ready to go on the shelf for 85 cents. Very easy to do. We can make them in China in a day or two. And so that wasn't our concern. So our focus was the exact opposite. So having these two worlds collide makes it really, really difficult. What we wound up doing was bringing in the best experts in the world. And then we have this kind of back and forth that makes it a really healthy friction in our company, where you have experts like my business partner, our brother Sherveen, and Dr. Shilpa, who's one of the world's foremost experts in liposomes that work for us and with us. And we have this back and forth and kind of meet in the middle, where we don't compromise our commitment to health, but we find ways to make it monetize and make it profitable too.
Yeah. I love what you said. You said we went and found the experts at every single level. And that's really the name of the game. Was this the first business that you guys started? Because I assume you guys had multiple businesses before starting Cymbiotika. Number five.
Yeah.
And what were the other four?
We had a clothing line that was great. It was kind of what you're wearing,
Sure.
kind of a chic or urban clothing line.
Yeah.
We had an accessory company that made accessories for cell phones.
Cricket
we had a
Wireless. Cricket Wireless.
Yeah, Cricket Wireless. We had a chain of 173 retail stores in 6 states.
Cricket.
We sold that in December of 2018. We had a company called Dash Radio. It was a music platform, the third largest in North America after Pandora and Spotify. We sold that to an Australian firm a couple of years ago. So we've done a bunch of things together. I'll tell you, Rich, I won't do a company without my wife. And I genuinely mean this. I'm not trying to get lucky later. This is the truth. I think she's the most brilliant person I know. And so she's our chief operating officer and the business partner in every company that I'm a part of.
Yeah. Looking back at the first four businesses, what's the biggest lesson that you guys learned with the first four that has helped scale Cymbiotika and make it successful?
I got mine. Do you want to give yours?
Just accepting failure and letting go of something that's not working out, not having that personal, just like, not leading with ego and just making the right business decision.
Yeah, that was kind of mine too. She stole mine, Rich. I think it's really important for the audience out there who listen. Which camera did I look into, Rich? It was like, you
got a couple right there.
This, by the way, for those of you guys who are not here, this is a robust studio, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, brother.
This thing is the real deal. You got to be brave as an entrepreneur. You have to be brave. And part of being brave is you have to take bold risks and be prepared to fail and quickly recover from them, learn and move forward. And the ironic part is the bigger your failure is, the bigger your learning lessons are. So you've got to be quick and aggressive, learn from them and move forward. I think most people get into business, they're so terrified of making mistakes. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. You're going to wind up failing by definition because you're not moving forward. So you got to go for it.
Yeah. What's one failure that you guys had early on that has kind of helped you with scaling Cymbiotika?
So one of our first cell phones company, that's Cricket Wireless business, we started off very methodical in our scaling of these locations, and our competitors didn't do that. So they flanked us. So they got bigger so quickly. And there's a business concept called economies of scale, right? So the bigger you are, everything becomes cheaper. So you can buy things cheaper, your labor becomes cheaper overall, your marketing becomes cheaper. And so they got bigger faster. We were methodical in the way we did it. And they wound up getting so much larger than us, they could undercut us on price. And I remember one time we had dinner together, this was in 2014 or 15, and we said, that'll never happen again. If we're going to fail, we're going to fail on our terms. We're going to be bold and brave. And if we fail, we fail. But we're not going to fail because we're so conservative. Our competitors were stronger and braver than we were.
That's really good. That's really good. Yeah, I feel like whenever you do have that hard lesson or the heavy failure as an entrepreneur, we always learn from it. We always get better. We become a better version of ourselves from it. And that's really part of the game. It's like the failures aren't inevitable. They're going to happen. But just knowing that you're going to have the resources, the wherewithal, and the ability to figure out a solution whenever those things arise is ultimately what gives you the confidence.
And the faith, Rich, like to believe in yourself. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to believe in yourself. If you're not prepared to bet on yourself, you should go do something else. I'm sorry to say it that way, but it's the truth. I'm a firm believer in God, and I believe in God, and I believe in my wife, and I believe in us. And whatever happens at the end of the day, let it be. I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I see you guys are all over Petco Park with the San Diego Padres. I'm personally a season ticket holder with the Padres. I'm curious for you guys, what's the best marketing platform that you guys, or marketing avenue that you guys have out there to get more clientele for your company?
Well, for us, the podcast ads and actually getting on so that people can get to know the founders. I think that's really critical, connecting to the community. So anything we've done from an organic, very grassroots approach, where we are involved in community outreach, getting involved in wellness events, actually hosting women wellness events have helped us out a lot, especially in just being able to authentically connect with our community and our listeners.
Yeah. I love that you said podcast. Fun fact, so literally like 95% of all the revenue we bring in, whether it's capital raised for Summers Capital or the other products that we have, 95% of it is from the podcasts and not social media. And I think it makes sense because out of all those platforms out there, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, and then you get the long form, which would be like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Out of all those audiences, hands down, the most intelligent audience, the most sophisticated, the highest net worth, the action takers is the podcast audience, right? Because they're learning they're learning the self-growth. They're learning because they want to improve themselves. And also, like you said, they're spending a lot more time with you, which is really where the trust is built.
So we spend a bunch of money on marketing, Rich. We'll spend $60 million this year or so on marketing. And so we have all these verticals: Meta, Google, Pinterest, podcast, branding, like the Petco field stuff. I'm very passionate about. I mean, my wife was well ahead of this stuff before I even knew podcasts worked. She was having us invest in this stuff years ago. The reason I think it really matters to people, one, anyone who listens to a podcast have a commitment to making themselves better. Our mornings start listening to podcasts, both of us. My wife is maniacal about it. I do it as well. And so you're already committed to improving yourself, one. Two, you're hearing from the source. It's not a regurgitated message that comes from like 17 different people down to a network NBC that who knows what their motives are. You're hearing directly from Rich and Shahab and Durana. You're hearing from the horse's mouth. And so the combination of the commitment to getting better and getting the direct data is really powerful. We've never had this as human beings. This is a relatively new thing for us. The middleman has been cut out. You're getting it direct from the source, and I think it's here to stay, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think the cat's out of the bag. So, I mean, the truth is you can learn more listening to a podcast today than you can going to a 4-year university. And if you look at the data, this is like the number of podcast listeners worldwide. In 2019, we had about 270 million worldwide, and we ended 2024 with 510 million. So the number of podcast listeners worldwide is essentially doubling every 5 years.
I haven't heard that. That's insane.
It's undervalued attention, and there's not a lot of hosts out there. And that's why I think it's a secret sauce for like even founders to have their own podcast. Is like it's just a great way to build trust at scale.
You have space for the Shahab Elmi show on your platform anytime soon?
Dude, we can make it happen, man. Anything is negotiable, bro. So tell me how Cymbiotika was kind of, how did it come to fruition? Because you guys are in These other businesses that you had, you're telling me these other lines, these are contrarian industries, and then you guys make the jump into the health and wellness space. So how did that come to fruition?
Can't get it off, and
Yeah.
you want to keep it off.
No, I was just gonna say, it started out by just being a passion project.
Okay.
Our girls were coming around the corner at the age where they knew what mom and dad does or do, and it was just great. And out of college, both of us went into corporate America, made a lot of money, made great investments. And I think for myself as a mother, I kind of hit that turning point where what I did had to have more meaning besides mom owns a bunch of bags, mom, you know what I mean? Like mom just has accumulated a bunch of stuff. I wanted my daughters, first I wanted to be their first role model, and I wanted to really exemplify it to them to one day do something that's bigger than them, where they can think outside of themselves. And I think that's ultimately your karma in the world. And so this, Cymbiotika kind of fell in our lap, and I think Shahab will get into how that happened, but truly a passion project.
I mean, she said it perfectly. But yes, our girls were getting to the stage that they had a career day one day, and we're driving to their school to explain what we did, and it didn't feel good to say mom and dad are pretty good at making money. That's like, I don't want our legacy for our kids to be that. And we're very engaged in our kids. We drop them off every day. I was telling you earlier, we drop them off every day, pick them up every day. We're gonna get out of here in time to get to the recital. And
How old are the kids?
they're 10 and 11, but going on
Okay.
like 35.
Damn.
It's
Love
like
going on 40
Are they homeschooled?
no, they go to La Jolla Country Day here in San
Okay.
Diego.
Okay.
And it's a compliment and terrifying. It's like Durana times 3. There's 3 of them in our house, and I have sometimes I want to call 911 for help. I'm behind enemy lines, but I'm hanging on for dear life. But I wanted our girls to be proud of their parents for something way bigger than that. And one of my buddies, Shervin, that we talked about earlier, had started Cymbiotika in late 2018, and he's brilliant when it comes to this kind of stuff. He lived in the jungle with the shamans, and he puts famous people through ceremony, and he's of that world. And he had started this company, and it wasn't really a company, but it had so much energy behind it. So we wound up linking up and decided to partner up, and convinced her to give me one more shot. I promised her that the last company was going to be the last one for a long time, and she was kind enough to give me one more shot, and I pulled her over, and she actually loves this business more than I do now. She's way more in golf than that. That's true, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really special business because we're helping people live healthier lives. And that very much aligns with kind of our DNA of who we are as people, living a healthy lifestyle, and then just doing right by people. And so
And what percentage of our customers are women?
over 67%,
And percentage of our employees is leadership?
over 50%. And I'm all about women empowerment, supporting women, creating opportunities for women
You said 50% are female or 50% are leadership team?
of our leadership team.
Got it.
And then overall, 70% of our team are
Yeah.
women. 67% of our
Cymbiotika
customers.
is very female dominated.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
What
a women's
percentage of your team is female?
almost 60%, and then overall 70%.
My team is almost 100%.
I mean, you're smart. I'm telling you, like if you just look at pure data, and I'm not one of those dudes. I'm a tough guy. I'm a big data guy. If you look at the data, women in corporate America and business in general, they're more disciplined, they're more focused,
Women
work
have
harder,
EQ.
Yes.
and so they have much better EQ. So it's like,
Less sensitive.
yeah. So they're if you want to be a smart business guy, make good business decisions, you should hire more women for your company, and not just because they're women, but because they're they're qualified to what they do. Like I'm not a big DEI guy, but the terminology of DEI, I'm all about equity and inclusion. Just hire if you actually get out of your own way and hire the most qualified people without getting in your own way and letting other issues get in the way, you're going to look at your team and they're going to be the most mixed group you've ever seen, of all sexes, genders, sexual orientation. They'll fill in the blanks for you if you do it all for the right reasons, because there's talent all across the pool. We as human beings get in the way and start making decisions based on our political values or backgrounds or maybe deep down prejudices we have. We get out of the way of ourselves and just hire the best people. Then look around your team after 6 months. You're like, oh my God, I hired a rainbow. Everyone is here from every facet of society, because I didn't focus on that. I focused on who's the best and nothing else.
Yeah, that's really been the name of the game, at least for me with my short experience kind of being as an entrepreneur. I've learned at every level, it's like every time I remove the weakest link and I replace it with like top level talent, every time I do that, it increases the median bar for the entire team.
By the way, you're rich. Your office looks like this. So you walk through, I just say hi to everyone. It's a hodgepodge of like every possible background. You just hired the most talented people, and they just wind up being from all the different backgrounds. which is where the magic happens. The magic happens when you have all these people who are from different parts of the universe combining with different ideas, and all of a sudden you have explosion of amazingness, if you will.
For sure. So I'm curious for you guys, like in 2019 when you started Cymbiotika, what did the leadership team look like back then?
Shahab and
That's
I.
not the two of you.
It was
Yeah.
just the two of us. We started the company when it was COVID.
Mm.
Everyone was afraid to come out of their house. We were doing a bunch of Zoom calls, interviewing folks, kids at the office. So we really didn't have a leadership team when we initially started the company.
I did customer service on my phone.
Yeah, we played a lot. We wore a lot of different hats.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I think that's what it takes. We were very intentional about hiring the right people that really believed in our mission and really were going to come in and complement like our company culture. That's like the one thing that he and I do really well is build culture. I think the magic behind successful companies is the culture, and a culture is only made up of the people.
So you guys went and tested the marketplace first before hiring out key leadership roles. Is that right?
We spent most of 2019. That was the first full year in business. We had one employee, Erica Rhodes. Hi, Erica Rhodes. She's fantastic. She lived in Big Bear, and she would literally get all our product shipments to her home in pallets, and it would snow there, and then she would package them up in boxes and ship them from there. So whoever's starting a small business thinking that they can't scale, that's how Cymbiotika started, out of basically the driveway of Erica's home in Big Bear. We spent most of 2019, though, just surveying the landscape, understanding the business. And we had just my wife and I, Sherveen and Erica, essentially, the four of us. And 2020, though, we realized we had a real business. Went from $1 million total sales in 2019 to $5 million in 2020. And we decided it's time to get an office and hire some folks. And so in August of 2020, we made our first kind of splash into building a team.
Got it. And what was the key from going from 1 to 5 in that first to second year?
Part of it was, our brilliance. No, it was just luck, to be honest. To be very frank with you, being successful to me is 3 tranches. You got to be smart. You can't do it without being intelligent. You got to work your ass off. That's tranche number 2. So 33, and the last third is just a little bit of luck, and everyone needs it. And so if you hear anyone's story that they went from 0 to whatever, at some point they have the luck element. The luck element, though, is it'll arrive if you're willing to stay in the pocket long enough. You know that term, stay in the pocket? It's a boxing term.
Yeah, it's a fighting term.
If you box, I boxed most of my life. If you box long enough, sometimes if you're losing, the worst place to be for you is the pocket. The pocket is this area where you're close enough to get hit, but close enough to hit someone. And so you can take a lot of damage, and you have to test yourself and say, do I have the will to stay in this one little zone? But if I leave this zone, 100% I'm going to lose. If I stay in this zone, there'll be pain and suffering, but there's a shot I could win. And part of it was we just stayed in the zone long enough for the luck to kick in. And I don't want to celebrate this because COVID hurt so many people. When COVID happened, vitamin D, we have D3K2, and vitamin C became really, really important, as they are for your immunity. And we happen to be one of the world's only liposomal vitamin D3K2, B12, and vitamin C, all 3 of them actually back then, that really helped your immune system. So we had this massive run rate of people finding us for this exact reason.
Because the media was pushing this.
The media was pushing it. Fauci was on TV every day talking about it. And I'm not a huge Fauci fan, but at least that part of it, he was right. For your immune system, D3K2 and vitamin C, the combination of these two are really, really effective. And so that gave us our first push. But then we took that opportunity and really doubled down. Every year, by the way, we went all in. Whatever profits we made, 100% we put right back in the system. So we went from 1 to 5 to 15 to 40 to 80 to 120 to 200 this year by just putting everything back into the pot. You play poker, no, Rich? There's got to be pot committed every year.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is I think if you want to really grow quickly or be successful at whatever the niche is as an entrepreneur, like you got to be 100% committed and go all in. Like that's something I did. Like I have an 11-year background as a air traffic controller, government employee. So 6 years ago, I knew nothing about business or real estate. And I cashed out my 401k. That was the only seed money I had. And I went all in, left the W-2, went all in. But even today, there's things that I'm doing right now where like we're buying deals or whatever it might be. An opportunity comes up and I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to commit to the target. We're going to commit to doing it and we'll always figure it out. We always figure it out. And I think as an entrepreneur, like that's where the success happens, is going all in. And I think when you commit to those kind of targets, you always figure it out.
Congratulations, man. That's unbelievable. That's cash out your 401k. That's ultimate belief in yourself. because I don't know if the listeners or viewers have studied what that means. The tax implications are brutal when you're not 65. So you quadruple down on yourself, and look at you now.
Yeah.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And just to add to that, I think betting on yourself is critical, and also building infrastructure. A lot of companies just think like that's not important, but during COVID, we built infrastructure. We, built our own fulfillment center, which was really unique. Um, early years of Symbiotica, we had third-party companies that we were using. And as the company grew and built success and we started to financially really build something strong, we poured all those financial money back into the company. We started building our own marketing team. We have over 11 UI UX designers in-house every day, building code, writing code. And then, we have customer experience in-house. So we brought everything in-house so that we can control the story, the narrative, and that we can be quick and responsive to whatever it is that we have in hand.
Yeah. So when you went from 1 million to 5 million, you mentioned you guys got an office space, invested into some leadership roles. What were the first couple hires you guys made?
So marketing and customer experience. Marketing so that we can really educate our customers on what our products are, why they're important. We were less focused on the sales aspect of it, but more on educating people, especially because it was a time of COVID where people had a lot of time in their hands. People were very invested in what they were putting into their bodies. And then secondly, customer experience, because for us, it wasn't about selling a product. We're really a lifestyle brand where we are really trying to help educate you on changing your lifestyle. For us, it's not like you take a vitamin C and you're going to feel and see it the next day, but it's like changing your lifestyle to really fill those gaps. Symbiotica does that, but we want it to be a part of the customer's experience in that health journey.
So Durana handles all our hiring. Even to this day, the last interview is always Durana, which is crazy now because we have 150 employees now, or 100.
Over
150.
150.
Yeah. And she still does every final interview. The reason is because she wants the cultural fit to be right. And we had this massive debate, and I'm glad that she won that. I wanted to hire a sales team. I have a sales background, so I'm a sales guy. I want to do a sales team. And she convinced me that the least important thing at that period was sales,
Why is that?
because you're a brand that's not known.
Mm.
And her logic was, if you go sell a bunch of stuff and no one knows you, it's not going to stick. They know why. They don't even know why you're buying you. So it'll be a slower run rate up. But if you take our time educating customers, and once they buy our product, they can actually call into a call center here in San Diego and ask for the same person. They ask for Rich over and over again. And Rich winds up knowing about their health journey, their family's health journey, and helping them through the process and teaching them stuff. Then that customer becomes a customer for life. And so we have this program, this retention program that we built in-house, and it's called Arise. And customers that are on for 6 months or more are called VIP customers. Those customers now are staying on for nearly 2.5 years on our subscription platform. So it was exactly what she said would happen in August of 2020 has happened. That we took our time and bring these folks on slowly, but teaching them the benefits of Symbiotica and the proposition around why your health is so important to you. They've stuck around and by the way, that number is growing every month. We think it's going to be over 3 years by the end of this year.
Mm. And how does the subscription model work with you guys?
So I'll take that one. So we have a subscription platform that we built in-house. We use a platform that supports, it's called Recharge.
Okay.
It's a big subscription platform. And there's no contract. So you get a specific discount for staying on, and you get benefits over time. But really what the subscription platform is about is being disciplined around your health. If you're a workout guy. When you work out, the toughest thing is just to be there tomorrow. There's so much going on. You don't feel fantastic every day. Just to show up the next day, that's a win every day. And the subscription platform was designed to reward people who were taking care of themselves, who are willing to commit every single day to taking these products. And over time, you can see people start submitting their lab results, showing that over time they used to be vitamin D deficient, now they're not. That inflammation, now they don't. And so all these markers are improving over time. And the baseline of that platform was for that reason.
Mm. So what's the best way for you guys to hire right now? Because you mentioned you only like to hire A players. I'm curious for you guys, do you guys like using a recruiter? Is it all through word of mouth? Is it through your brand, your website? Talk about that.
Oh, it's a good question. So, yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the actual position, but we have all of our positions are posted on our site. Sometimes, depending on the expertise of the role, we will go out and be proactive on like scouting candidates that we think that have the qualifications to do the job. And as Shahab alluded to, I do all the last round interviews. But yeah, I mean, it really just depends on the position. If it's like a C-level position, we're using one of the top recruiting firms. If it's one of our more entry-level positions, it's like we are looking at candidates that are applying, and then also, some of it's through word of mouth. We have a really great culture. We won Best Place to Work 4 years in a row,
5 this year.
five this year, and I think I always say our office is not a workplace; it's a destination where you want to show up, and you want to win.
That's I tell you, I'm really proud of this fact because every time we have a position open, we have literally 1,000+ applicants that come in. And one, I'm very biased, but I think our people are brilliant. If when you have time, Rich, come to our office. It's not too far away from here. Spend 30 minutes in office, you'll see. These people are so passionate, and I'm so happy that we have 4 companies under our belt. They're way smarter than we were at their age. They're younger, but absolutely brilliant and passionate. And they built this culture that people want to be a part of it. We get applicants from all over the country saying, we'll move from New York, from Florida to there just to work with you guys. And I think if you want to see how well your company is impacting community, that baseline, that variable is a really good one to follow. To say how many people are willing to move cross country to be part of your team. And it's thousands and thousands and thousands.
Hey guys, we just got another boutique hotel under contract in my hometown of San Clemente, California, located not too far from the beach. This will make 5 boutique hotels in our real estate investment fund. So if you are looking for passive income and tax benefits, visit summerscapital.com/invest to book a free call with my team. Again, that's summerscapital.com/invest to book a free call with my team. Now back to the show. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. So I was hanging out with Zeb Evans, the founder of ClickUp. This is a little while back, and we had a couple of drinks together, and we ended up just having this crazy conversation for 5 hours. It was one of the best conversations I've ever had. But we're talking about hiring, and he's got about 2,000 employees, big team, and he's building a big thing. They're about to go public in the next 12 months, so he's kind of gearing them up for that. But and this guy's relatively young. He's only 35, and he said his biggest mistake is hiring people from big corporate firms. And people that had a lot of college education, master's degrees and all that sort of thing. And he said instead, he liked to promote from within. He said, no one's going to care more than your day ones. But he said when he interviews people, the number one question he likes to ask is, tell me about a time where you had to overcome adversity in your life, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, I love this.
And
Yes.
so I'm curious, what are you guys' thoughts on that? And can you relate?
She got this one handled, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I can relate because I've personally been through a lot of adversity, and adversity was the only time I've ever grown. So now as an adult, I'm really, really grateful for all that I've gone through. And I try to share with the younger generations to really embrace that adversity and welcome it. Very similar to him, I ask a lot of personal questions. I want to know, who are you as a person, and how do you show up for yourself? Because I think most things can be taught, but I can't teach you to have discipline. I can't teach you to have passion. I can't teach you to have that self-love. And part of showing up every day and delivering your best at work and your best for your peers is that self-love. It's like, I don't want to fail myself. Forget the folks around me, but I've got so much love. I've got so much drive to want to be successful, first for myself, then for others. So I'm with him. I ask a lot of the same questions. And during that path of hearing and learning about them personally, I love to hear about the adversity they've gone through, because I think adversity, those moments that really, they don't break you. They're the moments that really make you, right? And so I always say, take your pain and turn that into power. So I love those moments, and I love those
And
questions.
your first part of that question about the master's degrees and stuff. So we have a bunch of Ivy League folks in our office that we've hired for various positions. But I would say the most impactful people on our team are the day one folks. So our chief of staff, Elizabeth, she's brilliant, amazing. She runs our company essentially, and she came on as customer service 5.5, 6 years ago.
Damn. And now
And
she's
she's promoted 6 or 7 times now to,
Yeah.
she's the boss.
What's her role now?
She's chief
Chief
of
of
staff.
staff.
So
Wow.
she's the boss. And there's multiple examples. Jalen, who's starting customer service, runs our analytics department. He's absolutely brilliant. And so we have a lot of these folks who started out in X role, but now they're defining the direction of this company. And to your point earlier, Zeb's point earlier, is they really care. They're so passionate about the brand because they help birth the brand and raise the brand, and they know more about the company than anyone else. So if you bring in, I'm not anti-master's degree, I got one, but if you bring in someone from corporate America that's been doing one thing for 30 or 40 years, the world has changed. The world that I grew up in corporate America is no longer there. So if I just rely on the things I know to be true, this company would fail. So having these brand new voices who see things completely differently, especially younger voices, is really, really important. There's two types of people: the people who embrace these voices and those who go bankrupt. And we won't be the latter.
Yeah. I'm curious for you guys. So when you guys started, you guys were wearing multiple hats. But as we grow through different inflection points within the business, obviously it's important to delegate more and more things out. And so for you guys, I'm curious, when do you know when it's time to fire yourself from that specific role and hire someone else to come in and
When
take
Durana
over?
tells me so.
What's
Normally.
that?
When Durana tells me so normally. I'm by nature, I want to have my hands in everything. Durana's a great sounding board for me because she'll pull me aside and say, so-and-so person is doing a great job. If you allow them more space, they'll surprise you. And she's right every single time. I ran the tech part of our business. We hired a guy named Jared Radke. Hey, Jared, he's a Berkeley guy, one of the few guys that we have here from Ivy League schools that I really respect and appreciate. And she convinced me to give him the reins in tech, and it was the best decision I've ever made. He's done probably a 10 times better job than I could ever done. I could have running it. And I'm pretty good at it, but he's phenomenal at it. So sometimes you need a sounding board. I think if you're in a company and you're a CEO or a C-level person, you have to have the humility to find someone else on the team who can talk to you directly and tell you when you're wrong. Because if you think you're not wrong, then that's the first problem. Because every one of us, we're going to make mistakes and we see things incorrectly.
It's part of the
sometimes.
game.
It's part of the game. If you take enough swings, you're going to miss. But you have to have a Durana Elmi who's going to pull you aside and say, you got to look at it this way. And you got to be open to that feedback. And if you are, great things happen.
Yeah. I'm curious for you guys, how do you know when it's time to part ways with a team member?
Ooh, another good question. I think anyone that disrupts the culture.
That's the one.
Culture is number one.
Culture's
That's the
number
answer.
one.
Yeah.
I think if you are a cancer on the team, you got to go. And as a leader and as someone who's owned a lot of businesses, I always say this, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I'm also okay with firing people. I think Elon Musk said it best. When you're not passionate, you shouldn't be here. And I'm okay with that. I think that everyone should be passionate about what they do daily. I say to the team, I spend more time with you guys than I do with my children. So I've got to love this, and I've got to love the people I'm doing it with. And this every day, what we do at Cymbiotika, it's personal. Your success is personal to me. And so I think when someone's not passionate and when they're disrupting the culture.
Yeah. If someone, puts in their 2 weeks notice, do you guys let them stay for 2 weeks, or you just remove them right away? Because
Yeah,
It depends who they are.
Yeah, I think it depends on who they are. I think like ego wants you to walk them, right? But the reality is, it's like, listen, like they've been a team player, and for whatever reason, the end of the road's about to hit, and that's okay. I think you can accept that. But for us, we always like to part ways in a real positive manner. And I really want to thank the folks that have been with us, right? Even those that aren't still with us. Believe it or not, I still have a lot of really good relationships with everyone that still doesn't.
So here's my view. As we've gotten larger and larger, and the public has known of our success, we've, for the lack of a better term, we've been poached quite a bit. And I'm torn on the subject because on one hand, we lose someone that's super talented, that's important part of the team. Other hand, I want them to grow. Like there's not a spot, if they're VP of finance and we have a CFO, our CFO is not going anywhere. So that where are they supposed to go? And so on one hand, I don't want to lose them. On the other hand, we just celebrated a couple of folks this past week that were leaving us. We got them cakes and we celebrated they're leaving us. But because there's no upward movement for them where they're at in their position, they've crushed it. And so other companies have come and swept and given them much more money, and I'm happy for them. It's just the nature of being successful. It's actually a sign that we're doing really, really well. And it sucks, and I hate it, but I'm also happy for these folks because most of these people are young, and they got a huge runway ahead of them, and I want them to go make their money too and live out their dreams too. And so it matters. Some people, we walk them because they have, like Durana said, they haven't been great for the culture. But we've been very fortunate. I would say 90%, 95% have just left because they got better opportunities, so they've crushed it so well in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of tough conversations that need to be had when it comes to like hiring and firing. I had to have a tough conversation on Sunday night this weekend, let go of a team member, and it just was not a fit. But it was tough because as I was having this conversation, I felt bad because, she had worked very hard. She cared. She was very dedicated to the role. It just wasn't a fit from like a talent perspective. And, is pulling other team members from their roles to help fill the gap, which is never a good thing. And so it was a tough conversation for me to have because I actually have more respect for a team member that actually is dedicated, has the work ethic, shows up on time, and is actually working hard versus someone that has the talent but is not giving it their all. So that was a tougher conversation for me to have. But this was the first time we've actually used a recruiter to backfill that position, and so that was an interesting experience for me to go through, for us to go through using a recruiter. But I kind of like it so far because I realize, a lot of good talent out there, they're typically not going to be unemployed. They're going to be employed already, and so you got to go poach them.
We have a C-level role that we're filling now, and we're using a recruiter for that reason. And yeah, for those positions that especially if you have the ability to pay properly. When we started out, we didn't have a lot of money for the company, so we're scrappy. We're getting anyone who was interested and was passionate and they're good human beings. Those are only criteria that we had. Everything else we taught them. Now things have changed, so we have the ability to go kind of get the best free agents out there. So we're using a recruiter for this C-level search, and the biggest brands in the world, the names are there, and it's nice to have those people be interested.
Yeah, it is. It is. You mentioned early on, you guys have always been very scrappy and like gone all in. Yeah, I'm curious. Give me like an example of what it means to go all in for you guys.
Yeah, so a poker term, pot committed. You're familiar with this term? So like, there's no plan B. So fully committed means you're willing to double down on everything, on marketing, on personnel, and if it doesn't happen, you have nothing. And I know it sounds like a really irresponsible way to run your company, but if you want to scale rapidly and compete with the big folks out there, there's only two ways to do it. You got to get it funded, which we've done in our other companies, or if you're bootstrapped like we were, you got to be ready to put your own money in and everything you got. And if you believe in it, you will do it. And if you don't believe in it, you shouldn't be doing it anyways. You shouldn't be in that business anyways. To me, it's a little black and white. It's a black and white issue. Is you're fully committed and you believe in this mission that you're on, then you should be prepared to put it all in. And if you don't believe in it, you should be doing something else anyways. And so multiple times, I think for 2019 to 24, 23, 24, 2023 for sure, we had moments that like if things didn't happen, we wouldn't been on the Rich Show. We would do something else. And thankfully we survived and we persevered. But you have to have the guts to do so because someone else will. One thing that's really important people to understand is you're not competing in a vacuum. It's not you. It's not golf where you versus you. It's you versus everyone. And you better be prepared to be gutsy. Otherwise, those guys will and they'll beat you.
And Rich, I think I want to add to that. I think also all in for me is showing up every day. I think it's really important to show up every day. Even the days where it's like the shit's not coming out the way you anticipated. You got to show up. I think that's such a big part of the success is the past 5 years, Shahab and I have been in the office 5 days a week, grinding with the team, irrespective of what it is we're working on or if the outcome turned out. It's just showing up is a big part of it.
Yeah. What's one like pivotal turning point when you guys look back at the last 6 years? I mean, 2019 to now, you started at 1 million in revenue, then you did 5, then you did 15, and now you're doing 200 million. But I'm curious, what was like the biggest key pivotal point in those last 6 years?
I got mine. You want to go first?
Yeah. So I think for us, we Cymbiotika, we create products, and it was when we made the change to packet products. I'm always stealing this guy's
What's it called?
So liposomal packets.
Okay, what's that?
So all of our products, majority of our products today are in these so we say they have 3 factors. One is that they're liposomal, which has the highest absorption rate. Most important is that you can travel with it. You don't have to take an entire bottle with you. There's nothing that's going to leak or burst into your bag. They're just individual packets. So you're traveling for 5 days, take 5 packets. And then the next thing is you can share these packets. It's kind of weird to give your friends, let me pour this into a spoon and hand this over to you. So for us, the pivotal moment when we were first in the industry at making these liposomal packets, which we were already making liposomal products, but we actually changed the form factor to these individualized packets, which I'm so sorry I should have had for you here today. But just these individualized packets that, really it's like on the go with you. So health is accessible to all, health is available to everyone, and you can share it, you can travel with it, and it's easy. So there's kind of no excuses other than the excuse you make for yourself to not, be healthy and to kind of fill the gaps of your daily diet and lifestyle.
So once again, Durana stole my answer, Rich. But we trial and error everything. So we had standard capsules, powders, stick packs, any delivery system you can think of, bottles, pumps, sprays. And what we realized is consumers want easy. Like everyone's life is so busy and so complex as it is. They don't want to put a lot of thought into this space. So these packets are about this big. You rip off the top and you take it. Do you take creatine? So your creatine is a powder. You mix it with water, right? So our creatine is a packet. You tear it off. Tastes like raspberry. You put it in your mouth. It's over. You get 5 grams of creatine. And so, you know, every product of ours, starting 23, became liposomal packets. By the end of this year, 100% of our products will be liposomal packets. And that was really the turning point for us.
Mm. And so when you guys roll out a new product, do you guys test the marketplace before going all in on it?
Yeah, we do a lot of, so we're big data. So if you come into our office, you'll see, Rich, we have a whole section for just big data. We accumulate lots of data. We use AI. We do a lot of analytics. So nothing is haphazarded. You know, one of these things doesn't happen. And so we do a lot of market research before we launch it.
And are you pulling your existing customers too?
Yes,
you are.
So we have 200,000+ subscribers. So we have a big sample size that we can talk to these folks, and they're so passionate and they're very honest. They'll tell you exactly what they want and what they don't want. So our CMOS comes out next week. That was a customer requested product. I would have never thought Irish CMOS would be a product that people want. It was one of the most demanded products that we've ever had. So it launches next week for that reason. Next month is another product. Shilajit launches next month in a packet. That was another customer requested product.
So how do you guys test the demand in the marketplace before going all in? Do you guys just have X amount?
So we have a bunch of data points that we pull, web searches, social searches, what's happening on the podcast. The podcast circuit, by the way, in your space, has become the most definitive for us because the podcast space is two things. Tells you what's happening today and gives you a glimpse of what's going to happen tomorrow, which you don't get that from many other resources. Like Google will tell you what's trending today, but doesn't give you any glimpse into tomorrow. The podcast space, you can get some data points around what the talk track is, what's happening in the future too. So we accumulate all those data points on top of our customer surveys, and they go, X product is going to be good, and then we'll go start developing that product.
Yeah. What other products, I'm curious, that you guys have at Cymbiotika that's geared towards athletes, people in the fitness space, bodybuilders, that sort of thing? You mentioned creatine.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of products. I would first say like immunity in order to be an athlete and to be able to show up athletically every day. It's about the immunity products. So we've got our vitamin C, our elderberry, creatine is a hot one for that. We also
So we have a lot of athletes, by the way. I don't want to name drop on your show, but we have a lot of pro athletes that use our products. Mainly creatine, hydration. We have a hydration packet. Think Gatorade, but healthy, like much, much healthier without sugar. But electrolytes, like when people say hydration, they're saying electrolytes. If you're an athlete, you're for sure deficient. If you train, you're deficient for sure. And ours are just not simple salt and water. Like they're very complex electrolytes and hydrogen tablets. These three combined is really all you need as an athlete besides protein. We have a protein powder too. We're coming out with a protein stick pack. Remember back in the day, Powerade had a goo. Think that in a packet, but it gives you about 25 or 30 grams of protein.
Okay.
And about this small, and about
Really?
60 calories, no sugar.
Wow.
That comes out.
So this is all clean, super clean stuff. No
We don't do
sugars.
anything that's not. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because where we source our raws, if you have to pick one thing about Cymbiotika that makes us so unique, is our sourcing. We source our raws from very specific places, and we do incredible amount of diligence to find these sources. I'll give you an example. We launched our colostrum last month. Colostrum, the first 48 hours of any mammal, they produce in their milk colostrum, which is the most potent, nutrition-dense, anything out there that human beings have ever found. Liquid gold, as my wife calls it. And so we met with Amish farmers in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. We made deals with them directly, and we also met with the top vets in the country. They told us the first 24 hours, it's really important for the calf to get the colostrum. So we contractualized that the first 24 hours wouldn't come to us, it would go to the calf. The second 24 hours comes to us. But we put boots on the ground and we interviewed every single farmer to make sure that, one, they believed in our philosophy. Two, their farms were up to par for what we thought were healthy farms and treating these animals properly. So we go completely out of our way to make sure the products that we source and we sell are part of our ethos. And it's not a vitamin C from China that we'll never, ever see how they're produced. Who knows what it really is? You get a compliance test and that's good enough. That's not enough for us.
Do you guys have any sort of testing that you guys offer for your clients? And what does that look like?
So we have two different testing mechanisms. We have 4 internal testing that we do for our products. We do individual raw testing once they come into the country, depending on where they come from. Then we do pre-manufacturing, post-manufacturing, and we do one more before it comes out. And then we do a stabilization one that takes a long period of time to say how long the product will stand stable on the shelf.
So I think Rich is asking
I'm,
also about.
I'm,
Oh, you didn't
I'll
get there.
pivot into
Okay.
Yeah, I was working my way. So then we're creating our own. We're almost done. Duran's actually leading it. We're going to subsidize this, so it'll be really inexpensive for customers to buy. It's a testing kit. You buy from us at probably about an eighth or a ninth of the cost you would normally pay. Really, really cheap. So we'll eat most of the cost. Then that'll coincide with our app. We have a Cymbiotika app you can download, and it'll track your progress over time. So because empirically, some things you'll just feel better, and you'll know you're feeling better. Some things you need data, and the lab test will tell you that you're no longer vitamin D deficient. Your body's processing, your inflammation is down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Got it.
And we're also going to work with some. I don't want to name the companies, but they're very famous companies. Wearables that you wear today, because we're not done with the negotiations. But you had these wearables that test a bunch of stuff in your body,
Your
like
sleep, heart rate,
your
all
blood
that.
Yeah.
sugar, HRV, recovery, stress. We're working with the two largest ones of those companies now to embed our testing to their testing. So when we take some of Cymbiotika products, over time you can track those results.
Yeah. I know a lot about like in regards to like scale in business, it's like I would say starting is about saying yes and growing is about saying no. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, it can be easy to get caught up in all these different things that we try to do. I'm curious for you guys as you guys scale Cymbiotika, is there any sort of correlation with like how many different things you're trying to do and really focusing on maybe the 2 or 3 that are really moving the needle, the big pillars for you guys?
We just had a meeting about this earlier. I think as you scale, it's really important to lose quality and
Yes.
lose kind of your brand identity. And for us,
If you get spread too thin.
exactly. And for us, we want to continue to remind ourselves, as much as we want to be the innovators in the health and wellness space within supplements, we want to stay true to who we are. And who we are is we are liposomal leaders. And we want to make sure that whatever we create, it goes into that form factor that I mentioned, like the packet products. So that's really important for us is, is it in a packet? Is it liposomal? And again, efficacy is everything to us.
And for the listeners out there that aren't aware, what exactly is liposomal?
So I'll take that one because this is a really important question. So liposomal is essentially taking a vitamin or supplement and encapsulate it into a food.
Okay.
So when you have an orange, you have vitamin C, but your body thinks you're having, or knows you're having an orange, so it processes the vitamin C the right way, so you absorb the vast majority of it. Conversely, if you go to Amazon and buy vitamin C for $15 and go to the restroom 20 minutes later, you'll see that your body's got rid of most of it. So it has no idea what it is. It's synthetic. And by the way, an orange isn't one ingredient or 2 ingredients. Most vitamins have 1 or 2 ingredients. Our products mimic an orange, for example, or a tangerine, where like our vitamin C has 15 different ingredients that work together to make your body feel like you're having a food. The liposomal encapsulates into a fat that makes your body absorb it at a much higher rate. But going back to your prior question, this is really important for me. I think people get on these podcasts and never talk about the things they messed up on. It's always like up and to the right, we're brilliant, everything's been fantastic. I'll tell you as a CEO, one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made, and I hope people out there who are starting a company learn from this quickly. We were cooking like 22, 23, doubling revenue every year. We got so excited. I got really passionate about extending our verticals farther out from the vitamin space. So we built a pet care line and a toddler line. We built a personal care line, toothpaste and home sprays and countertop sprays.
In the pet care, you're talking about like testosterone?
No, just for your pets at
your
home.
pets, your
Oh, for
animals.
your pet.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
got it. Pet
not
care.
PEDs.
Yeah,
pet
yeah,
cares.
okay.
Yeah, not PEDs, but those are important too. We haven't gotten to that
Okay.
yet. But animal stuff and home care and toddler stuff, and they all did well. But what all of them did was distracted us from what we're really good at and spread us really, really thin. Our team back then was 70 or 80 people, and there was enough people, but not enough to be able to do everything great. So you got people that were responsible for 1 or 2 things. Now we're responsible for 10 or 15 things. So they wound up spending most of 24 getting rid of all those verticals that we built in 23. So my advice to don't do what Shahab Elmi did and stay focused on what you're really, really good at. I think one of the biggest misnomers in personal development is to focus on your areas of opportunity. It's a big mistake.
What do you
Don't
mean when
that.
you say that?
So as a human being,
Yeah.
you look in the mirror and go, what are the things I'm not good at? Let me go focus on those things. I'll give you an example. I'm a terrible dancer. And my wife is a phenomenal dancer. She's a UCLA dance team. If I practice dancing for the next 100 years, I might improve my dancing by 10%.
Yes.
Okay, that's how bad I am as a dancer.
But you'll never be at her level.
I'll never be at her level.
Yeah.
Now, there's other things I'm really good at that if I focus on, I can double or triple my effectiveness there. That applies to business too. If you focus on the areas you're not good at and put all this energy that's required in those areas to improve by 2 or 3 or 4%.
Yeah, you're not moving the needle.
You're not moving anything.
Yeah.
You're on a treadmill versus the areas that you know you can make an impact. And you can make 50, 60, 80, 100% impact in that area. Your energy should go there. Amazon, Jeff Bezos isn't sitting there saying, you know what, we should start building a 10,000 brick and mortar stores. They have some, but their core emphasis is building delivery services that are better than anyone else, and they've done it. And so Elon Musk is not trying to make helicopters. He's great at making electric cars.
Mhm.
And so you got to be focused on the stuff you're good at and really pressing your pedal down on those things.
Yeah, that's so good.
So don't do what I did.
Yeah, that's so good. I always say business is like identifying what you're good at and doubling down and doing more of what you're good at and
You're ahead
doing
of the
less
game,
of what
Rich.
you're not good
You're
at.
ahead of the game, Rich.
I'm curious for you guys, what with Cymbiotika though, you know, what are the 2 or 3 rocks that are like, hey, these are the 2 or 3 that really move the needle for us, and these are like what we're going all in on, and we're going to stay committed to these 2 or 3?
Is this within our product subset?
Yeah, like which 2 or 3 of your products are like the main money makers for you guys?
So our hero products today is our magnesium, our vitamin C.
Okay.
I love the colostrum. Yeah, and glutathione. So I think, glutathione detoxifies your liver. And, vitamin C is skin health and also immunity. And then magnesium, also immunity and helps you with your sleep and brain health as well. So those are our hero products. And I've got the things that I use daily that kind of help fill my voids in my health journey. One of them is colostrum, I think is also going to be a hero product soon here. But those would be our heroes.
Yeah, I could agree. I think above and beyond certain products we have today, we're learning that if you just put out the greatest products the world has ever seen, you're going to do well. Like, I'm very proud of this one thing too. We have product committee meetings. We just had one before we got here. We bring the top leaders in to talk about the next quarter, next year's product stuff. And we've never reverse engineered into a COG, a COGS, cost of goods sold, or a margin, gross margin. The reason we don't is the second I tell our folks, I need a colostrum made at $15, and the product they made is at $20 cost. The only way to get down to $15 mode is to cut some stuff. So either lower the quality of the ingredients you purchased, put less of it, or put different stuff in. So you're disabling the quality of your product to meet a percentage, a gross margin percentage. We don't do that at Cymbiotika. We say you go make the greatest X, fill in the blank, the world's ever seen. It's my job or our team's job to figure out how to make money off of it. And sometimes we can't, and we just shelve it. But we'll never release a product that's been watered down to fit into a COG. Never, ever. And I think that's contrary to what most companies do. And we've never bent the knee to that. We won't do it. We just won't do it.
And who's the typical like avatar that's buying your products? These are typically, would you say, upper class, higher net worth individuals that have disposable income to spend on these things?
I mean, I think you would say that at one point, but now I have to say the youngsters today. I mean, my
Really?
10-year-old's reading labels and telling me I'm eating like Red 40. I'm like, child, like you're 10, it's crazy. At 10, I was eating all kinds of crap. But I think today people are so cautious and they're so much smarter. There's the knowledge about ingredients are so accessible. So really our customers are range, but and mostly female, because females are the ones that are making the decision and driving the buying decision of what comes into a home. But I would say that really it's all ages, and predominantly between the 20 and the 40.
I'll tell you what's changed though, Rich. It's interesting. It's a great question. I like a cocktail here and there. I enjoy them. But if you look at the amount of money people spend on booze by generation, it's plummeting.
It's going down.
You've seen that
big
data,
time.
right?
Oh yeah.
So they think Gen Y, Gen Z, between $7 and $10 billion a year on booze. Millennials, before my generation of millennials, like $30 billion a year. So that money exists in the ethos, but where are they spending it? They're not spending it on booze anymore. They're spending on other stuff. Look at the gyms now. When I was young, you're a little younger than me, you're 39.
Yep.
So I'm 45. There was no Equinox or Lifetime 25 years ago. And people want the cheapest possible gym memberships. Now people are paying $250, $300 a month to go to the gym because that's become a priority for them. Health has become optimal priority. There was no Air One. You've been to Air One? How much it costs to buy? The Air One is a specialty food place in LA mainly. A smoothie is like $30 at Air One. And Whole Foods didn't really exist back then, and Sprouts didn't exist. So people are willing to take that money that we're spending on booze and fast food and put it in health stuff now. So the age demographic is dropping quite a bit. When we first started 6 years ago, it was 45 and above. Now it's 20-year-olds. The TikTok generation is buying it.
Yeah, I love that. It's true. I mean, the younger generation, Gen Zers, they're like not going out drinking. They're not at the bars. And it's out there, the data, the stats. And I think, like you said, people are a lot more health conscious these days. And I think with all the technology that we have, the medicine, we now have the ability to reasonably live past 100. A lot of people. Right now, average life expectancy is 77. 77 years old. Think about that. But I think that's going up over time.
It's going to get fixed. And people just look different. At this, like the
Yeah.
Gen Zs look different. I think I'm the only one without a six-pack running around now. Like, everyone is so fit now. And part of it is because COVID really opened people's eyes, man. COVID was the worst thing that's ever happened to our generation. If there's a positive that came out of it, it made us take a step back and say, who really struggled during COVID? It was overweight people with diabetes, heart conditions, etc. And 20-some-year-olds like, I'm not going to be that dude. I'm not going to do it. And they're making a priority in their health, and I'm so happy to see it. I don't care if they don't spend money at Cymbiotika. I'm happy they're just doing it somewhere because the money's there to be spent. And booze, I'm not against like I enjoy cocktails. We open a bottle of wine every other night, but there's better places to put your money than that.
Yeah. Durana, Shahab, I appreciate you guys coming on. So good to connect.
Thank
and
you.
I can't wait to see where you guys take Cymbiotika next. Personally, I'm gonna have to try it. I'm excited to try it, and
I can't believe we didn't
and have
bring
to
rich
dabble a
products,
little bit.
Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I thought you had products.
Oh, you're good. You're good. But I'm excited to try it out. Where can the folks get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Cymbiotika.com.
Durana Elmi, Shahab Elmi, we're available. And we actually, like, our Instagrams, we made public just to be able to communicate with people. We don't monetize. We've never made a penny off of our socials. We don't pay for any of our speaking arrangements. We're speaking at Cannes Festival in France next month. And we just do it because we genuinely care. I know it's hard for people to maybe believe, but this is a passion of ours. And we want to be part of this journey.
I love it. Well, there it is. They are Shahab and Durana Elmi. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.